A man accused of hitting and killing a West Jordan toy maker in 2022 found guilty on all charges. Tonight, we hear from the victim's family following the verdict.
We do have a pretty weekend on tap for you weather-wise, but there is a chance of storms out there. We'll tell you where tonight.
Anytime something like this happens, there's always a pause for everybody.
A recent tragedy has left Utah's diving community wondering what happened. I'll tell you safety tips a local dive shop says new and veteran divers should know.
Tonight, a ceremony honoring historic Abravanel Hall as a multi-billion-dollar development plan continues to materialize in downtown Salt Lake City.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. Kelly is off tonight. We're tracking 3 top stories in 3 different counties. In Utah County, there is a push to get murder charges downgraded for the man accused of driving high on meth and killing 2 Eagle Mountain 3-year-olds back in 2022. In Summit County, Corey Richens' defense attorneys are looking to get the prosecution thrown off the case altogether. We'll get into both of those stories in just a moment. But first, in Salt Lake County, the man accused of hitting and killing a volunteer toy maker in West Jordan while driving under the influence was found guilty on all charges this afternoon. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with the toy maker's daughter this evening, just hours after that verdict came down.
He just really liked how it looked once the cars were dipped and they got their color.
Julie Merrill says her dad, Niall Thacker, was always trying to spread joy.
He was definitely one of a kind.
The 75-year-old spent a lot of his retirement here at Tiny Tim's Foundation for Kids in West Jordan, which was founded by his cousin.
He started working here about 60 to 70 hours a week. He just found such joy in himself giving these cars out.
Merrill says her dad was out delivering toy cars to local hospitals on December 1st, 2022.
Went to Jordan Valley Hospital, dropped off some of the cars there, and it was when he was leaving there to go to another hospital that he was killed.
According to a probable cause statement, 73-year-old Asel Lyman's Ram pickup sideswiped a concrete barrier twice before continuing at a high rate of speed into the intersection at 9000 South and Bangerter Highway, almost hitting one car before ultimately hitting Thacker's car. Thacker was pronounced dead at the scene. A toxicology report showed Lyman had a blood alcohol content of 0.12 at the time of the crash, more than double the legal limit in Utah. He also had his grandson in the car with him at the time.
Please be seated.
A jury trial for Lyman taking place this week, wrapping up on Friday as 3rd District Court Judge James Gardner read the verdict.
Count 1, negligently operating a vehicle resulting in death, and they've checked the box guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Count 2, driving under the influence of alcohol with a passenger under 16 years old, and the box has been checked guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Lyman also found guilty of 3 other infractions, including failure to stay in one lane. The judge ordered Lyman to be taken into custody immediately.
We're grateful to the prosecution and to the victims' advocates.
While relieved with the verdict on Friday, it comes a little more than 2 months after Merrill also lost her mom, Gloria, after she was diagnosed with heart failure.
Her doctor actually referred it to her as broken heart syndrome. We feel like this really took both of them from us.
As she sanded cars at Tiny Tim's on Friday, wearing the same apron her dad once wore, Merrill spoke about the legacy she feels her dad leaves behind.
Just helping your neighbor, that's really his legacy.
Lyman is scheduled to be back in court here for sentencing on July 15th at 3 p.m. Here in West Jordan, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
There is an update tonight in a court case involving a man who was behind the wheel 2 years ago in Eagle Mountain in that crash that killed 3-year-olds Odin Ratliff and Hunter Jackson. Defense attorneys for Kent Cody Barlow tried to convince a judge today to reduce Barlow's first-degree murder charges. They want manslaughter charges instead. The defense claimed their client cannot be charged with murder because he did not knowingly kill Odin and Hunter. They said there was no reasonable way he could have known the boys were in that horse corral that he crashed into. Hunter Jackson's mother shared with us her thoughts about what happened in court today.
The facts in the case never change, so whatever happens, happens.
Well, it's been 2 years, but no matter how long it takes, Hunter and Odin are still worth fighting for. They deserve justice.
As far as what's next goes, the judge is going to put together a written opinion over the weekend with analysis and his decision. That written opinion is expected to be released on Monday. Defense attorneys for Corey Richins have filed a motion to disqualify the prosecution from the case. The Summit County woman is accused of fatally poisoning her husband, Eric Richins, in 2022. After his death, she published a children's book about coping with grief. Richins' attorneys claim a letter found in her cell addressed to Sky Lozaro, who was on the defense team, got into the hands of prosecutors and was made public. Richins' attorneys believe the letter was improperly seized by the state. She is due back in court next month. The recent tragic death of a woman who was diving at the Homestead Crater has left many in Utah's diving community wondering what happened and reflecting on safe diving practices. Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule has details.
For the last 20 years, Dave Mohowski and Dive Utah have made the Homestead Crater in Midway one of their go-to dive training destinations.
The water's a constant 94 to 96 degrees year-round. Even in the dead of winter, you're protected from the elements, so that's what makes it so popular. There's no current, there's no waves, there's no wind when you're inside.
Earlier this week, they and many others in the diving community had heavy hearts as they learned about a 43-year-old woman who experienced complications after surfacing from a dive at the crater Tuesday night. CPR was performed, but the woman later passed away at a nearby hospital. Her exact cause of death is still unknown.
Our heart goes out to the family and everyone, and also the other buddies, instructors, anyone else who might have been there. Anytime something like this happens, there's always a pause for everybody.
Dave's using this moment as a time to be reflective about overall dive safety.
We need to know our depths and our times. We make sure we don't stay down too long. We want to make sure that when we're coming up, we come up nice and slow. We want to make sure that anytime we're underwater, we're not holding our breath.
He also wants to remind divers to not get complacent.
We live in Utah. There's not a lot of diving around here. Most people are going on trips, and so maybe they're only going once a year or once every 2 years. So we remind everybody to brush up and to try to stay current and keep diving as much as they can so that their skills remain sharp.
Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Senate adopted a resolution this week to honor the 226 law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty last year. This has been National Police Week. After the resolution passed, Utah Senator Mitt Romney posted a video on social media honoring this man, Santaquin Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier, who lost his life on May 5th.
My heart goes out to those family members and the dear friends he left behind. Sergeant Hoosier's sacrifice is an important reminder to all of us. Every single day, our men and women in law enforcement put their lives on the line to protect us and our communities.
Sergeant Hoosier was hit and killed by a semi-truck driven by Michael Jane. He is in jail and was charged with Sergeant Hoosier's murder earlier this week. Jane was allegedly also holding a woman hostage at the time before he was captured in Vernal. Shifting gears here now, community and culture is converging at Library and Washington Squares in downtown Salt Lake City tonight. The 2024 Living Traditions Festival kicked off this evening. There is music and dancing and food from around the world, incredible art from around the world. You can even make your own art and play games from other cultures. Goes until 10 tonight and runs through Sunday. We've got a lot more coverage of this festival coming up later in this newscast. But I'll tell you what, Dina Friedman on this Friday, I was over there at Washington Square and Library Square. Oh, it was so nice.
It's
and I
beautiful.
gotta tell you, the flowers were so fragrant.
Did you sneeze all over them?
No,
too?
not at
that's
all.
where
No,
I
no,
am
no,
in my
no.
life.
Oh, are you really?
Yes, the
Oh,
allergies.
my dear, I'm so sorry.
But beautiful weather, a little bit breezy, but not bad. Perfect temperatures, and what a great evening for the festival. And nice weather this weekend, too. There's a chance for some afternoon thunderstorms, but mainly in the high elevations and in central Utah. So downtown Salt Lake City looks pretty good as far as the forecast goes over the weekend here. weather. 66 degrees now in Salt Lake, and it's 69 degrees in Ogden and 70 degrees in Provo. We had a weak cold front move through, mostly dry, but you can see just a few high base showers here across central Utah. So we'll see some of those tonight. The biggest threat is just some gusty wind with some of those high base showers that you have. You can really see it on the visible picture, all those cumulus clouds going up here, and now mostly clear skies behind it here in northern Utah. So we've got a pretty nice weekend, warm weather. Temperatures stay in the 70s. We do have a chance for those afternoon showers, so we'll look more at that futurecast coming up here. We do have breezy conditions moving in on Sunday, but then the big change will be Monday and Tuesday. Cold and wet weather just about everywhere moving in Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures now in the 60s and still in the 80s in St. George. We'll take a closer look at the rest of the weekend straight ahead.
The district attorney announced they are not filing charges against officers in a shooting in Taylorsville. We'll explain why ahead.
The sunny, warm weather may have you wanting to go outside soon, but there's a hidden danger. I'll explain coming up.
And despite all the Scheffler drama at the PGA Championship, Tony Finau did what he could to maintain his hot start.
The bar owned by former Salt Lake City mayoral candidate Michael Valentine might get evicted from the Gateway. The owner of the property, Vestar Gateway, filed an eviction complaint against Valentine, claims he owes nearly $2,700 for 1 month of unpaid rent, plus interest and attorney's fees. The complaint obtained by Fox 13 News also alleges Valentine violated his lease. He changed the name of his business from Six Sailor Cider to Weathered Waves in January in anticipation of becoming a licensed bar to sell alcohol. The complaint says Valentine changed the name without Vestar's approval. The lease only permits Valentine to sell retail cider. Valentine told our content partners at the Salt Lake Tribune he is up to date on his rent and had a verbal agreement with Vestar to change the bar's name and amend the lease to allow him to sell beer. But Valentine told the Tribune the amendment included a non-disparagement clause, and he refused to sign it, claiming it violated his, quote, free speech rights. Valentine also told the Tribune he plans to file a countersuit against Vestar. The Downtown Alliance says the Sun Trap, a gay bar in downtown Salt Lake, is reopening under new management. Been around since the early 1970s. The bar has been on the brink of shutting down for the past 2 years. It's been closed since early January because of plumbing issues and gave up its liquor license in March. They could try to get their liquor license back at the next DABS meeting on May 30th. As we start seeing more sunny days, it's important to remember May is designated as Skin Cancer Awareness Month. Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Chris Nunley shares tips on how to stay safe in the sun.
1 in every 5 people will be diagnosed with skin cancer at some point in their life, with even higher rates here in the Beehive State.
As we move into the summer months, many people are trading out the snow gear and skis for bathing suits, shorts, and the hiking boots, increasing the risk of being exposed to harmful rays from the sun.
May is the month of skin cancer awareness, so what we try to do in May is make people aware of skin cancer. So one thing that people don't realize is there's a lot of different skin cancers, but usually we talk about basal, squamous, carcinoma, and melanoma the most commonly. So melanoma tends to be the one that gets the spotlight just because it is the most aggressive and actually pretty prevalent. And in fact, here in Utah, we have the highest rate of melanoma.
This is due to the outdoor lifestyles in our state, the higher elevation and often sunny skies, making Utahns more vulnerable to skin cancer. Skin cancer, especially melanoma, the deadliest form of skin cancer, is caused by repeated sun exposure and sunburns. Those areas tend to be on the face, head, neck, and hands. But even areas that are typically covered can still develop skin cancer, so it's important to keep an eye on your skin.
There's something called the ABCDEs of melanoma specifically. So A stands for asymmetry, anything that's not symmetric. B stands for border, so irregular jagged borders. C stands for color, and that's usually about 2 or 3 colors in one mole. D stands for diameter greater than 6 millimeters, so that's a pencil eraser size. And then E, which is one of the most important factors, is evolution, so a mole that's changing.
All skin tones can develop skin cancer, so it's important to see a dermatologist annually and protect against the sun. No matter the time of year, whether you're skiing on the water or on the snow, it's important to wear SPF 30 or higher sunscreen, and when possible, wear long-sleeve clothing and wide-brimmed hats.
It is also important to limit your time outdoors between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the sun's strength is at its peak. I'm meteorologist Chris Nunley reporting for Fox 13 News Utah.
Great information, Chris. Definitely going to need that SPF this weekend. The sun will be going strong. Salt Lake City right now, what a pretty night. Temperatures cooling off behind a cold front down to 66 degrees now. A little bit breezy. North winds behind that front at 13 miles per hour. It's not doing too much. You get a little bit of high base showers here with some mild convections and gusty winds, but not too much really behind that whole system. Clear skies. Going to be a nice night, a little cooler than last night with the clear skies and behind that frontal boundary. 66 here in Salt Lake, 70 in Provo, now 59 degrees in Park City. A pretty evening, 76 in Green River and 54 Bryce Canyon. That frontal boundary just about through here and barely through Cedar City. And it's going to linger here throughout southern Utah tomorrow. We'll see some convection start to fire up along that boundary. A little bit breezy behind this, and we'll get the winds to really start picking up on Sunday, and then a much stronger system moves in Monday and Tuesday. Visible Satellite does a really nice job today. We like looking at that visible picture. We're just taking that live view from outer space down below, and you can see the nice puffy cumulus clouds fire along that frontal boundary. And then here behind it, where you've got this weak high pressure around, it's mostly clear, so kind of an exciting vantage point from the satellite picture. And the radar with it, there's the weak showers that are along that frontal boundary. But again, some gusty winds definitely possible as some of those move through southern and central Utah tonight. So Futurecast shows that weak cold front moving through, but watch what happens tomorrow. It kind of stalls out here across central Utah and really just along our I-70 area. And as it does that, we'll see some thunderstorms kicking up in the afternoon and some high mountain thunderstorms as well. So a closer look at Futurecast just kind of shows really it's close to that I-70 corridor, and across central Utah here we see those afternoon thunderstorms tomorrow, and then also possible at some of our highest elevations. So the best chance to be rain free or get out and do your activity is going to be in the morning for sure. So if you're getting out hiking and out and about, that's what you want to do. Of course, we still have quite a bit of snow that is up in our mountains right now as well. So overnight, we've got mostly clear skies to the north, just a chance for some scattered showers here across central Utah. 52 degrees tonight, so a little bit cooler than it was last night, and 60s in St. George tonight. Now tomorrow, still pretty warm in southern Utah, 90 degrees there in St. George, with 76. Going to be a beautiful day. There is that chance for some of those afternoon thunder showers. It's a smaller chance. Much of the day should be pretty nice tomorrow. We really do have a nice weekend all around. 90 for tomorrow in St. George and 91 on Sunday afternoon. It does cool off into the 70s after that. We've got a temperature of about 76 all weekend. It does get breezy here on Sunday, and again we'll have that chance for some afternoon thunder showers. It really starts to change here Monday and Tuesday. We have a much stronger boundary moving in. It's going to be wet and cold, and we could even see more mountain snow moving in on Tuesday, and then we're back to around 70 degrees midweek. We'll be right back.
There is a lighting ceremony in support of Abravanel Hall going on right now in downtown Salt Lake City. In fact, this is a live look, and they just turned the lights on outside of Abravanel Hall. This historic venue is being swept up in the multi-billion-dollar plan encompassing several downtown blocks as part of the new development project for a hockey arena. Utah Symphony performed earlier this evening, and there have been speeches from people wanting to keep Abravanel Hall around for generations to come. Earlier this week, Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson said she wants Abravanel Hall to remain just as it is. It is an iconic venue that has been around for 43 years, hosting all kinds of artists from around the world, and of course, home of the Utah Symphony. And so we will continue to follow this story very closely. There is a very enthusiastic crowd, not only gathered here tonight, but also trying to keep Abravanel intact so that Salt Lake City's cultural arts community can continue to have this as an anchor in the community. We'll keep our eye on this story. The State Department has issued a worldwide travel alert cautioning Americans about traveling abroad. It urges people to be careful because of the potential for terror attacks and violent actions against U.S. citizens. The advisory reads, quote, "The Department of State is aware of the increased potential for foreign terrorist organizations inspired violence against LGBTQI+ persons and events, and advises U.S. citizens overseas to exercise increased caution." The State Department encourages people to sign up for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program to receive alerts and make it easier for them to locate you in an emergency overseas. The Utah Debate Commission, of which Fox 13 News is a member, has announced that all of the candidates in Republican primaries have agreed to debate each other. The debates will take place in June for governor, attorney general, 3 of the congressional districts, and the U.S. Senate race. This morning on Utah's Capitol Hill, Governor Cox and the Utah Department of Veterans and Military Affairs hosted the 4th annual State of Utah Service Member of the Year Awards. These awards aim to honor the service and accomplishments of remarkable individuals from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Space Force. It's for active duty, Guard Reserve units, and civilian service.
Charges will not be filed against Taylorsville police officers that discharged their weapons in what the DA is calling a fluid situation. We'll walk you through it.
How Pacific Islanders are working to remove some of the health disparities within their community.
An artist performing here at Utah's Living Traditions Festival has a sound you haven't quite heard before.
And Utah softball right back at the big tournament, but their quest to return to the College World Series began on the road this time.
Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9 on this Friday night. 14 months after a man was shot and wounded by Taylorsville police, the district attorney shared his findings today and walked the media through the fluid situation back then. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph breaks down the scene and what led the officers to firing their weapons.
Fluid is the key word that the district attorney said as he announced that they would not be filing charges against those officers because of that fluid situation.
This demonstrates how dynamic and fluid a situation is and how quickly it can change.
Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill ruled today that no charges would be filed against Taylorsville police officers in a shooting that took place on March 18th of 2023. Officers responded to a call about Alex Boren, who had a large knife he had cut himself with and was suffering from a mental health episode at a friend's house.
Concerned that Mr. Boren was bleeding out and dying, officers decided to enter the residence and locate Mr. Boren.
Officers found him in an upstairs closet, wrapped in blood-soaked bedding, not moving.
Alex, show me your hand.
Alex, we're here to help you, bud.
But then things changed.
Mr. Boren grabbed the knife. As he stood up with the knife in his hand, Officer McKenna deployed his taser. Officer Berg fired a 40-millimeter less lethal weapon. There's the knife.
All of the shots you just heard were less lethal rounds. Officers continued commands.
Alex, we don't want to shoot you, we want to help you.
But then he got up again, knife in hand.
Alex, drop the knife. Drop the knife.
And officers fired their weapons.
Alex's perception was that there was somebody who was attacking him, and in his recall, he has no memory of police even being inside the house with him.
They rendered aid very quickly, and that's all they wanted to do in the first place was to help this individual.
Taylorsville Police Chief Brady Cottham also spoke with Fox 13 after the ruling, praising his officers.
Everybody went home that night, and it was safe, and even the suspect lived and survived, and I believe that's in the account of our officers.
Alex Boren is a veteran, and following the shooting, the DA says he's receiving treatment for his mental illness.
He's getting the help and support that he needs. He's thriving in mental health court.
With Sim Gill having one final message about the hope that incidents like this don't happen.
This is not where we should end up with those veterans, and we can do better in getting treatment and support to those veterans who are in just incredible dire need.
We do want to put this out there. If you are a veteran or a loved one of a veteran experiencing a mental health episode, you can contact the Veterans Crisis Line by dialing 988 and then pressing 1. You can also text 838-255. You don't actually have to be enrolled in VA benefits to contact that health care. Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah Highway Patrol has released the identity of the woman who died yesterday after being hit by a car while trying to change a flat tire on SR 201 in West Valley City. Troopers say 42-year-old Tiffany Smith stopped in the eastbound lanes near Bangerter Highway. Her car was still partially in the left lane because the shoulder was too narrow. The crash shut down part of the freeway for hours. Officials say if you find yourself in a similar situation, call dispatch and get emergency assistance. And if you can't get off the freeway, stay in your car with your seatbelt on. Last year, Catherine Cunningham lost her 8-year-old son in a playground accident. It happened at Stansbury Park Elementary. Tonight, she hosted an event surrounding her new book in which she shares her grief in hopes of helping others. The book is called Walking Through the Valley of the Shadow of Death, which is referencing Psalm 23 in the Old Testament. She says she wrote the book in the 2 days between when her son Dallin fell and when he passed away. She says writing this book was a healing experience for her and that it strengthened her faith in Jesus Christ.
When that shadow of death falls on us and we feel so cold and so alone and so afraid and we can't find our way, Jesus is the one who shines that light on top of the mountain and dispels the darkness and shows us how to keep going, how to find our way home, where our people are waiting for us.
Cunningham's book is now on sale on Amazon.com and at Deseret Book. Coming up, the Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition says there is still a knowledge gap in their community when it comes to health care. We have details straight ahead. May is Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and a key priority is raising awareness about health care. Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi shares what the Pacific Islander community is doing.
This is the Pacific Seas Restaurant and Market in Salt Lake City,
where a lot of people gather to eat. And mealtime is a wonderful place to talk about it.
Talking about health in the Pacific Islander community.
Any aspect of one's health, it's important to talk about it.
This is Janine Locke. She's Native Hawaiian, Chinese, and Portuguese, and is a breast cancer survivor. Breast cancer runs in her family. Her grandmother was diagnosed at a late stage.
She did not think that speaking of your breast health was something that you would just casually discuss with your family.
Times are changing. Janine says her mother openly spoke to her about her journey with breast cancer.
She wanted me to be proactive in my own breast health.
The Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition says there is still a knowledge gap in the community when it comes to cancers, explaining that there are language barriers and stigmas to overcome.
One of our main focuses is breast cancer and cervical cancer awareness. There's a high percentage of Pacific Islanders that are not aware that it's something that's a disparity within our community.
A report presented to the state legislature showed that Pacific Islanders are nearly 5 times more likely to die from diabetes than other Asian groups.
We want to make sure that the community is aware that we are not a monolith.
So it's vital to not club Pacific Islanders with other Asian communities when it comes to health care and instead address specific needs by population.
Our issues, even our body types, we're very different in stature and also in the health issues that we have.
If you want to learn more about the Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition and access some of those resources, you can learn more at upihc.org. In Salt Lake City, I am Maitili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, our coverage of the Living Traditions Festival in downtown Salt Lake continues. We'll profile a few of the many artists and vendors at this weekend's festival when we come back.
Or later in sports, could Utah softball steal a win on the road to start regional play? Plus, what a day at the PGA Championship, one that began with flashing police lights but ended with some pretty good golf. Be right back.
The Living Traditions Festival has taken over Washington and Library Squares in downtown Salt Lake City. The big gathering celebrates many cultures. But before the party, there is a lot of preparation. Fox 13 News photojournalist Nathaniel Gillis met up with one of Utah's dance troupes, Viva Peru, as they rehearsed for this weekend. Viva Peru Dance Academy is made up of dozens of performers who also teach classes to children and adults of all ages, skill levels, and backgrounds. Whether it's in teaching or performing, the dancers say sharing a little slice of Peruvian culture boils down to love.
Every time we dance, every time we wear our costumes, it's a way to show and tell a story. And of course, that's what brings life to the dance, you know, and we want to share that with everyone. We want to share the colors, the culture, how it all comes along into just one simple thing, which is how much we love Peru and how much we want to share it with everyone.
The group performed tonight and will be at the Provo Orem Peruvian Festival on July 20th at the Orem City Center Park. But the festival has a lot more than just dancing. This afternoon, I spoke with an Armenian rug maker about her craft. Diane Moffat has been involved with the festival since its inception 38 years ago, and her handmade rugs run in the family from her father and grandfather.
All the ones that I've made are right here, and that covers about a 40-year period. I don't sell them, but they are made exactly this way, and you'll see them. They'll be several $1,000s, but I always recommend that once people see how they're made, they should bargain up with the dealer rather than down because of the work involved.
This year's festival features 50 craft artists and 32 booths. Now, those at the festival got to hear a new twist on a very traditional sound tonight. Fox 13 News reporter Ben Winslow has more on that.
When I was growing up on the res, you know, like just the powwow beats is like in my head. My brain does this weird thing. If I listen to traditional like songs or any kind of music, like my brain will start creating sounds around it. And so I just started hearing EDM beats.
Neon Natives is blending the sounds of his past with the sounds of the present.
I would, you know, take part in traditional song and dancing, and you know, that's where I kind of make the connection with DJing and traditional sounds.
He takes traditional tribal music and mixes it with an electronic dance beat.
In the beginning, there was a lot of people that were like, no, that's not traditional music, don't do that, you know, you're messing up the old ways. But I was like, no, this is like bridging the gap between generations, you know, because like when I did it was like in front of a young crowd, like they responded and reacted to it so positively. You know, they were jumping up and down, having a good time because, you know, it was something new, something old, but something familiar.
I've decided to help you and burn your village to the ground.
The Bluff, Utah residents' work also mixes some social commentary, blending pop culture references with the lived experiences of Native people.
It's really to give people the perspective through an indigenous lens, you know, because nobody hears about these stories that we go through as indigenous people.
Neon Natives is back at the Living Traditions Festival this year, and he says he's excited to perform for the crowds again.
When they start coming in, you know, a lot of them just start dancing, and as soon as they start popping out like their phones and start recording, that's when I know that I've had some type of impact.
Neon Natives is so cool. I saw him last year for the first time and it was amazing.
The Living Traditions Festival brings together performances, music, art, and food.
It's nice to be able to see the diversity that we do have here in Utah, and what's also really special about this festival is that it's been happening for 38 years, and a lot of our vendors and craft artists and performers have been here since the beginning.
Neon Native's work is already getting more broadly noticed. He did a popular remix of a song from the TV show Reservation Dogs. Up next, he's collaborating with a Grammy Award-winning artist, but he's not quite ready to say who. Then he's got another album coming out.
I'm actually waiting for this next mystery collaboration to come out, and then I'll put out that project, but it's gonna be fun.
In Salt Lake City, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you want to come enjoy the Living Traditions Festival for yourself, it runs through the weekend. It closes in about 10 minutes, so don't try to go down there tonight. But it does run from noon to 10 tomorrow, and then on Sunday it goes from noon to 7:30.
Well, good evening. I'm Fox 13 meteorologist Tina Friedman with your forecast. What a pretty night all across the state, including in southern Utah. Great view here from Monticello. Nice shot. Well, here's our current view. We have a weak cold front that has gone through, and with that, there's a few scattered showers just across central Utah. Not a lot of that rain hitting the ground, but some gusty winds with that as well. And then behind it, clear skies and cooler temperatures tonight because that frontal boundary has moved through. So 58 here in Salt Lake. Now it's in the 60s. 60s in Salt Lake, 58 in Park City, we should say, 70 in Provo, and 68 degrees in Nephi. So a nice evening, clear skies across northern Utah. Cold front sagging through southern Utah now, down to 73 here in Moab and 87 still in St. George. Pretty warm this late at night. High temperature today did hit 81, so significantly warmer than average, which is about 73 over 51. So we'll be even higher than that over the weekend. Our forecast high temperature is about 76 degrees, so definitely some nice May weather. Our sunrise now, those days getting long, 6:08 a.m. and sunset at 8:41 p.m. Now here over the weekend, we do have warm weather still in the forecast, but we have a chance for some afternoon thunder showers, especially across central Utah and some of our high mountain elevations. Most places like in Salt Lake City downtown should be pretty good, just a little bit breezy, and the winds will start to kick up really on Sunday, and that next storm system gets settled in on Monday, Tuesday. That's when the big changes will come. So we can see that frontal boundary here across southern and central Utah, and then there's some showers with that as that boundary sags forward and goes south. But then tomorrow, as that lingers around, we'll start to see those showers fire up in the afternoon, especially across south central Utah and across our highest elevation, so mountainous locations. So could have some gusty winds and some scattered afternoon thunder showers tomorrow afternoon as well. So our temperatures tonight will be pretty comfortable. A little cooler than last night, 52 here in Salt Lake. We'll get down to 39 degrees here in Park City tonight, and then tomorrow, pretty nice day. But again, watch out for those afternoon thunder showers, especially across southern Utah and our high mountain locations. 76 degrees here in Salt Lake tomorrow, about 90 in St. George. You stay in the 90s this whole weekend, and then it gets a little bit cooler as that cooler air settles in on Monday and Tuesday. For the Wasatch, we've got temperatures in the 70s all weekend, nice weather, and then some very cold air and wet weather moves in on Monday and Tuesday.
Tony Finau in top form at the PGA Championship. Then again, nobody has been playing the game of golf like Scotty Scheffler has, at least since Tiger's Peak anyway. Scheffler, winners of 4 of his last 5 tournaments coming in, and the one he did not, tied for second. But Scheffler early this morning in Louisville was arrested for second-degree assault of an officer and third-degree criminal mischief, among other things, all of which he assured was simply a misunderstanding following the unfortunate death of a pedestrian unrelated to his incident. Crazy, I know, but the handcuffs came off just in time to tee off at 8 o'clock this morning, and on top of that, it was wet. But when he started swinging, got right back into the zone. Birdie to start at 10, his only bogey at 11 before another birdie roll at 12. This one a very handsome putt. Scheffler excellent with the iron all morning as well. Shot a -5 today, -9 overall to sit in 4th place. How about Tony though? Entered round 2 in a 3-way tie for second. killer start with birdies on his first 2 holes, but then he stagnated a bit. Finished the back 9 with 8 straight pars, lips out right there. His first bogey all tournament coming at 12, but it was a bad one, a double. Finau still right there, though, 8 under in 8th place, just 4 back of leader Xander Schauffele. As for Scheffler, though, oh my, what a day.
I feel like my head's still spinning. I can't really explain what happened this morning. I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell. That was a first for me. You know, that was part of my warm-up. I was just sitting there waiting, and, you know, I started going through my warm-up. I felt like there was a chance I may be able to still come out here and play. And so, yeah, I was fortunate to be able to make it back out and play some golf today.
Other notables, Ogden native Zach Blair did not quite finish round 2. 2 holes left, and right now he's slated to make the cut by a single stroke. We'll see if that holds. Tiger and Phil both done. Woods triple bogeyed not once, but twice today. This time last year, Utah softball hosted regionals, sweeping all 3 games at Dumpke Field. Different situation this time, though. After once again qualifying for the NCAA tournament, they were forced on the road to start at the Duke Regional, facing South Carolina in Game 1. Both clubs coming in with 34 wins on the season. Utah bringing one home in the 3rd. Abby Dayton nearly a jack, but not quite. Double off the wall, scoring Aaliyah Velarde for the lead. Did not last long, though. Bottom half, Gamecocks with a sac fly. Chalk up Jen Cummings. The next batter, Ania Black, bloops into the pitch-perfect spot. Denver Bryan in for the South Carolina lead. That 2-1 tally holding. Last chance Utes when Velarde flies out to left. Utah forced into a loser out tomorrow against Morgan State. The Utah Royals' one and only win all season came against North Carolina. That was nearly 2 months ago, though. The Courage with several chances here at home, but Amanda Hott and the Utah defense keeping them out of the net in the first half. The Royals' best look all game came here. The Lone Peak and BYU product Cameron Tucker scored her first professional goal 5 days ago, but just misses that time, all as North Carolina finally gets one in the 76th minute. Kaylee Kurtz. Utah drops to 1-9-1 in their expansion year. And the Knicks with a shot to put away the Pacers. Then again, the home team's perfect in this series, so why wouldn't tonight be any different? Miles Turner, have mercy. Turner dunking likewise right before the half. Give Game 6 to Indiana, the 6th seed out east, forcing a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden on Sunday. We'll be right back.
Today, the American Stroke Association Cycle Nation event at Torrance Cycle in downtown Salt Lake. Teams take turns biking to raise money for stroke and heart disease research. Fox 13 News reporter Ben Winslow was the MC of this event. How do you like that? Ben Winslow on a stationary bike. Thanks for watching Fox 13 News at 9. Quickcast is coming up next. Go Ben.